It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the time of the year when the Conservatives stab you in the back.
Britain. Good I'm home.
Because you may have noticed in the news recently, the Conservatives are like, hey, we're going to do something about immigration. It's like, really? That's only because you absolutely ruined the country with even more immigration than Tony Blair could ever have dreamed of.
So I honestly don't believe this at all. So
It's no. You can believe this, right?
Well, like Santa.
No, you absolutely can. It's just the plan is even more horrifying than you can imagine, right?
Right.
Trust me on this. So, sorry to interrupt the video, but I thought I'd announce that we have a new line of merch. This is our aesthetics collection. So I was thinking that in the face of AI art debasing the very concept of art, actually we'd do something quite positive. So we commissioned a series of paintings that were actually really beautiful and could be something that we could present outside of politics. So for example, we have this magnificent painting of a ship weathering a storm, which I thought was just really nice. And we have, of course, a glorious, sort of surrealist, giant white tiger drinking from a lake. But also there are other things that are just kind of interesting, such as the chap lost in cyberspace, or something that I thought might, in time for Christmas, make a great present for your mum or something like that. A beautiful cat lounging on some clouds. Basically, we wanted to do some stuff that wasn't just political. So things that were just nice and beautiful and interesting, because that's also a part of the world we want to curate. So you can go over to shop.lotus.com. Buying the merch is a really great way of supporting us and means that we can live past demonetization. And I'm sure they make great gifts for the folks as well. Let's just begin with the census, right? So it turned out that in 2021 or 2022, when we actually got the census, roughly 15 million non-English or Welsh people living in England and Wales. Most of them will have come in because of the Conservatives. Because, of course, at that point, it had been, 11, 12 years of
well over
Conservative
60%.
rule. Yep. Yeah, 11 years of Conservative rule. Just immigration go brr for some reason. Don't know why. Go sign up to lowseas.com, by the way, which is where I publish this, because, of course, there's a lot of work. Go and support us, £5 a month, because, of course, we're demonetized. Thank you very much, YouTube, for talking about such subjects. So I thought I'd just have a look at some stuff. See figure 4 there? Home Office composition by business area. Migration and borders, 80% of what the Home Office does.
That's what they do?
Yes, they're rubber stamping thousands of people every day.
So I would expect to be able to see, like, police, MI5, prisons, that sort of thing. But
Homeland Security is there. It's just a very thin bar.
It's just about 3% of what they do is Homeland Security.
I thought that was like
safety, about another 4 or 5%. Corporate and support, I don't even know what that is, but that's about 12%. Right? Well, yeah, whatever, right? But that's probably what the Home Office is supposed to do in a normal political environment. Migration and borders nearly about 78%, 79%, right? That's all they do. So if you were a Conservative government, you come and be like, okay, we're going to reduce immigration, you would just destaff that area of the Home Office. You would just defund the Home Office by about 80%, and then that would be the problem solved.
You probably want the borders bit, but not the migration bit.
Sure, but like border security or Homeland Security, maybe, okay, but
what percentage of the staff of migration and borders are borders?
By 75% or whatever, so you've got like a much more slim office there.
So I remember David Cameron came up with the idea of splitting the Home Office out into a borders department and then the Home Office. And there was furious pushback from the Home Office. And I understand why now, because if you take that bit out, basically they would rank slightly lower than the Department for Paperclips.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yes.
That's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Yeah. That's probably correct. But anyway, let's get on to the number of people. So we know that there are about 15 million. We also know that there are at least about 1 million illegals, and this was in 2017. God only knows what that estimate is now. This is Pew estimating that back then. Of course, we have had 100,000 channel invaders, and everyone is unhappy. Right? Everyone is really unhappy. This is the most recent Ipsos polls. As you can see, the Conservatives are about to get shellacked in, as the Americans say, in the next election, which will be next year, which is good because everyone's pissed off. Everyone is just pissed off with how the country's going. Look at the optimism index. Like every time you see a red line going up, that's bad, right? That's bad for everyone. But the thing is, no one thinks anything's going to get any better because do people like Keir Starmer? No, they don't bloody like Keir Starmer.
Yeah, his unfavorability
wow.
is going up just as much as the guy in charge.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow he's almost as unfavorable as the guy who's ruined the country, right? So no one is satisfied. Just deep dissatisfaction with everything. Everyone's like, why is the country being run like this? And it's going to get even worse.
This is I mean, this is the moment that if there was a third party with any flair or skill or panache whatsoever,
Yeah.
I mean, even a competently run monster raving loony party could at this point sweep the board.
Yeah, unbelievably, Lord Buckethead isn't 10 points ahead in the polls. Anyway, everyone's unhappy because, of course, under Cameron, Cameron and then moving on, migration went berserk, right? This, obviously, we know that last year the net migration, which is migration after the people leaving is removed, was 745,000. Now, actual total gross migration was 1.2 million.
Yeah, I really hate the net thing because it's like if we make our own people so depressed that they flee.
No, that's not even the problem, right? So the number of Britons who leave is only about 80,000 a year, right? So actually, that's about 600,000 foreigners who are like, the UK is going down, I'm out.
Right, so when even the Polish are like, screw this, I'm not dealing with this.
Well, no, it's not even mostly the Polish. It's mostly just, the non-EU migrants. They come here for a period of time, they make a bunch of money, they send it back home, and then they just piss off because we're just being used as sort of a global way station.
I like how in that exchange just now, every time I was pessimistic, you were like, no,
it's
you're
worse.
Not pessimistic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worse.
It is worse. It is just worse.
And in the meantime, you get about a 1% replacement rate per year.
What do you mean exactly?
Because if you look at the demographics, you have the English people.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, you do. But also because you've brought in 15 million new foreigners and the land of Britain has not changed, that means that they have to go somewhere. And if I didn't get the map for this one, but if you pull up the map, you would just see it like a cancer. In fact, in London and across the Midlands, spreading outwards to the rest of the country.
That being rental prices.
Well, yeah, and just the places where the English no longer live in England, basically. And we've got a breakdown of this, just quoting from here. In the year ending June 2023, the top 5 non-EU nationalities for immigration flows were Indian, Nigerian, Chinese, and Pakistani, and Ukrainian. Ukrainians actually having a legitimate cause because they were invaded by Russia. India.
But they did have to move across several nations to get to us.
Sure, but I can understand that
they at least have something.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They are the least concern of mine because at least they can say, well, look, we're not letting our men leave because we're fighting a war and we need somewhere for our women and children to go. And the British government goes, yes, we'll help the women and children of Ukraine. Okay, fine. I'm totally okay with that. That's completely above board. Why 250,000 Indians arriving that year? Yeah. Why 140,000 Nigerians? Why 90,000 Chinese? 55,000 Pakistanis? Why are they coming? It's just because we're wide open.
Well, I suppose I should mention now, we were looking at the different visas you can get for coming to the UK. And one of them that seems to be new is the Young Indian Professional Visa, which I presume was set up recently, is how I can politely discuss this.
Yes.
And the requirements are to be an Indian between 18 and 30 and have a bachelor degree and a savings of £2,500. And that means you can come to the UK for 2 years and you can renew that visa every 2 years because you have a savings of £2,500.
So you told me about this before we came on air, and I misheard you and thought that £2,500 was to cover you for 2 months. And I said, well, actually, that's not too bad. But no, it's 2 years.
We literally have open borders with every Indian who can get a bachelor's degree. That's what that is.
Yes.
And I'm sure Indian universities are very
rigorous.
Exactly. Anyway, so as you can see here, this is net migration over the past 10 years or so, right? And there's something happened
in the 2020s.
Yeah, exactly. Just after, for some reason, the COVID pandemic hit, we left the European Union and the Conservatives were like, great, non-EU migration, please. Because as you can see, the blue one is the British net migration, which I love about this, is that they actually have, so the native British leaving or coming into Britain. So as you can see, there was actually a net inflow of native Brits coming back to Britain. But as you can see, the outflow has been about 80,000 a year.
But what's going on here? But that wasn't the bloody pitch. Because I remember
weird. The pitch of Brexit wasn't let's get as many Indians and Pakistanis and Chinese into the country as we can.
It was on the bus.
Yeah.
And it was Boris who was in at the time, and
Yes.
Boris was like the leader of the Brexit thing, and he
Yeah.
was going up on stage saying, "Oh, we can lower migration."
Yeah.
And yet, the moment he gets his hands on power, it's just like
It's almost comical.
just funnel them in.
Why do you think I called this a Joker segment? Right? No one panics even when the plan's horrible. Like this, if this is the plan to literally get it up to 750,000, which Tony Blair
Yeah.
would never have thought of doing. We'll get into
No.
it in a bit, actually.
Because I was on holiday when these figures came out, so I kind of missed that news cycle, and I heard it was bad, but
Like,
this is just absurd.
going back to the 80% of Home Office staff whose job is literally to get tennis elbows, rubber stamping, all day, every day, just stamp, 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 stamp. Like, I can't even imagine how unbelievably busy they must have been to get that number of people into the country. Like, and that's at 1.2 million.
Right.
So they're just like all day, every day. I'm surprised they didn't just print them automatically these days. Mental.
Or just download the QR code from anywhere on Earth.
Yeah.
Here's your visa.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that being on the big red bus, though? So we get 500,000 foreigners a year from Europe. Let's get 3 million from anywhere else.
It's so unbelievably preposterous. And so finally, with the Conservatives at the lowest nadir that they've ever been in the polls, and with the worst election defeat looming next year, they're like, we're going to do something. And that something is going to be really, really unimpressive, right? Because again, they're the ones who have made this problem. Like, this problem actually, the problem did exist before them, but the problem was about a net of 300,000 a year, which of course was slowly destroying the country. And the Conservatives was like, yeah, but that's way too slow. Actually, we need to go full accelerationist and properly smash this country into pieces.
To be fair, the Tories do this every 18 months.
Yeah, I know. It's just shocking. But this is how stabbed in the back you're about to get, right? So what they're like, right, okay, James Cleverly's come in and they're like, okay, guys, we're going to fix immigration. It's like, oh, what are you going to do, James? We're going to increase the minimum salary needed for overskilled workers to 38,000 from 26,000. It's like, okay, fine.
Okay, so that probably slightly exceeds inflation.
Possibly.
Slightly.
But that's at least some kind of barrier, it sounds like, right?
Okay.
We're going to ban healthcare workers from bringing family dependents to the UK. We're going to end companies being able to pay workers 20% less than the going rate for jobs on an occupation shortage list. Okay. We're going to increase the annual charge for foreign workers to pay to use the NHS from 600 to 24 to £1,000. Okay. And of course, a couple of other small things, right? And so this, they think, will cut migration by 300,000. It's like, oh, that's so great, James, because you literally increased it by 600,000.
So they're kind of
Twice as bad as it used to be. That's my promise.
Yeah, we made it 3 times as bad as it was, but now it's only going to be twice as bad as it was. That's right, we're conservatives. Just, what is wrong with these people? Like, no, James, you say, right, what we're going to do is we're going to deport everyone who arrived here since, say, 2015. You know?
So the actual purpose of the Conservatives is to gold plate every left-wing advance.
Yes.
But they've gone further than the left.
Yeah, they've gone way further. But they went too far, and so they're going to scale it back so it's only twice as bad rather than 3 times as bad. That's the plan, right? Brilliant. Just to remind ourselves how bad immigration was under Labour. And you know what? I thought this was bad. I thought this was catastrophic about 10 years ago, right? I mean, it reached 250k net under Labour. So it was about 500k in 1 year, which is...
Yeah, I mean, it was catastrophic on the road.
Yeah,
the health service, the schools, everything that matters in life.
Yeah, exactly. That was terrible. Like house prices, everything. It's catastrophic. And the Conservatives were like, yeah, well, you've seen nothing. We're going to triple it. And then we're going to reduce it by 300,000. So it's still 445,000 net.
To be fair, they're going to triple it and then say that they're going to reduce it by 300.
Yeah. Well, that's true. They haven't done any of these things.
Yeah.
But let's assume that they will do this, which I realize is a silly assumption, right? But that's still basically twice as much as Labour at their highest, right? And so it's just like, wow, I just can't imagine how much deeper the dagger in my back can get. But then, okay, so great. That's wonderful. What are you going to do about people like this, right? Does she earn 40 grand a year? No, of course she bloody doesn't.
Oh, she's
She's a benefit cheat. Yeah, she claimed probably more than that. But this is Saba Mahood. How she came to be in this country, I don't know, right? She's a benefit fraud criminal. She has committed benefit frauds of over £100,000. She sends much of the money back to Pakistan. She's milked the system for 10 years.
She's got 8 children.
And she's still in this country. Like, why don't you just deport her?
Well, you can see that they charged her with the crime of benefit fraud and then decided no jail time.
Yes.
They gave her a 16 months jail sentence, but it's suspended for 18 months, meaning she will never go to prison unless she breaks the law within those 18 months. And then it's just forgotten about. Don't worry.
And James is like, yeah, but we're not going to get people who earn £35,000 a year coming into the country. It's like, James.
Well, what's the point of that trial? Because that trial probably cost another 100 grand in
if not more,
court fees.
Yeah.
To decide we're not going to punish her.
Yeah.
It would have been easier just to give her another 100 grand and said, right, quit.
Do you think she was earning 26?
No, of course not. How did she arrive here? Who knows? Who cares? Right? She's not going to be removed. She's just going to keep using your tax money. She's going to be given it forever because the Conservatives have, for some reason, not got the balls to say, hang on a second, these foreign benefit fraud claimants who keep sending our tax money back to Pakistan, maybe they should just get the hell out. Like, just instant deportation. Should have been just a no-brainer on this. Yes, you, gone. Next. The next one.
Immigration go burr.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, 600,000 of them leave every year anyway. She's probably going to leave at some point. She's just here while the money is flowing. So stop the money flowing. That's the only reason. And here's a great one. A Somali TikToker responding to David Vance. Why do Somalis claim asylum in the UK and then return to Somalia on holiday? And she's just like, you're not allowed to ask too many questions. It's because they know. They know that they are scamming us. They all know they are scamming. So They know it. They know it. God damn it, they know it. And the Conservatives are just like, yeah, well, as long as they're not earning less than 38,000 a year, anyone can come to them. How is this scammer here?
But they won't.
All of these scammers
force that anyway. I mean, they put it on a form, and there would be something like, "Are you earning more than 38,000 a year?" And they tick yes.
Yeah, undoubtedly that's what it's going to be like. But the point is, nothing the Conservatives will do will actually get rid of these actual scammers who are currently here scamming us of our money. Like, I'm actually far less bothered about immigrants who earn 40 grand a year coming here, or 26 grand a year. At least they earn money.
Yeah.
At least they earn some goddamn money. You know, I mean,
this person is literally just stealing it.
Yeah. Just like the previous person literally just stealing it. And just like this guy literally just stealing it and then putting up TikTok videos of him pouring your money on his taxpayer paid for hotel floor.
Is that some Asylum hotel?
Just some random, channel migrant. Just like nothing James Cleverly or the Conservative Party will do will address any of these issues. And these are the ones who are actually costing us money. Like, there are many levels to the immigration problem, right? There's the sort of high level, letting millions of people in has done severe damage to the culture. And then you've got, it goes all the way down to, there are a bunch of actual scammers who are scamming us and laughing in our faces as they scam us and can't believe how effing stupid we are. And actually,
I can't believe how effing stupid we are.
Yeah, I know. Right? It's really difficult to imagine, isn't it? No, literally mocking us. Right. And so the Conservatives know nothing about this. They've made the problem way worse. And these people are basically here for life, it seems.
Yes.
But there seems to be no time scale. How long, for example, our little hotel full of migrants, again, booked up for the indefinite future.
For 3 years already, they've been scamming us. So
yeah. So are they
another 10 years?
They're just going to scam us for the rest of their lives. I mean, these people are going to be old men, still hanging outside of that migrant hotel. So at least they'll be harassing less children at that point, I imagine. But anyway, so Rishi Sunak was like, well, we've just announced the biggest cut ever in net migration. It's like, great, but you were the responsible party for the biggest increase in net migration ever. So
the cut isn't real.
Get community noted. It's actually not a cut. It's still a net increase. You effing liars.
But he hasn't even made the cut. This is the thing. He hasn't actually done anything. Yeah. All he's done is made an announcement.
Yes. The level of net migration is too high and it has to change. Well, why is it too high after 13 years of Conservative government?
If only there was someone in power who could have done something.
I hate that they govern like they're in opposition. I just can't stand it.
But it's... Bro literally cooed the government to do nothing.
Yeah.
Why? What was the point?
I don't know.
Yeah. What did he change?
He cooed the leader who was elected by at least his own party to do zero.
I think it's because he really, really hates the idea of the indigenous British population paying fewer taxes, because literally all this trust was running on.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut your taxes and we're going to get some economic growth. And Rishi Sunak said, not on my watch.
Time to coup the government.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, why?
We think of every coup in history, like every other African dictator has taken over for at least a reason. But this dude literally took over the UK to just kind of...
To make sure we keep paying high taxes.
What a motive.
And the thing is,
if you wrote a movie, people would say the motive doesn't make sense.
that is totally true. But the thing is, like, they'll say things like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, net migration is economic growth. It's like, okay, but you've had unbelievable migration and we're having zero economic growth. Where's
yeah?
Well, yeah. Where's the correlation?
I know in theory it is because the bloody office statistics or whatever it is, the planning people.
Yeah,
they basically take GDP per capita and then they say, okay, well, we increase the capita and therefore we increase the GDP. It doesn't actually work like that, though.
Yeah, it doesn't actually work like that because they're not factoring in people like this chap.
Yeah,
who is just getting a bunch of free money. And like, sorry, he's a person that is in your statistics, but he's not actually producing anything. He's not earning anything.
But he is spending money.
I guess technically he is.
Money we gave him.
What about her?
Does do is that when they bring those people in, is that they can say, therefore, our long-term projections go up, and then they borrow against it. Yeah. So he is increasing the borrowing that the UK government can do.
Amazing.
So he's literally putting us in further debt.
Yes. So, of course he is. And the thing is, of course, all of these channel, like the channel migrants themselves, just the channel migrants, cost us, what was it, 3 billion a year?
Yeah, 5 million a day.
Yeah. So that's just the 100,000. Now, I mean, what about people like this who are just scamming, right? What about people like this who are just literally just scamming? Who knows how much these people are costing us, right? Yeah. This is just a black hole of money that we're pouring into the pockets of ungrateful foreigners. And Rishi Sunak's like, no, that's got to happen. Oh, by the way, that we're going to change the level of migration. And then you get like just conservative MPs who say things like, oh, vote for us because Labour are going to be returned to open door immigration.
I quite like this. Right. We're not going to let Keir Starmer wreck our economy. We're going to do that. We're not going to let him return to open door immigration. We're going to do that. Yeah. We're basically everything on drive out him, urban employ. Yeah. Basically, this is a list of things we're not going to let Labour do. We want to do it.
We're way ahead of Labour.
We can do it better.
Exactly. And the thing is, they're kind of right. Labour didn't wreck the country to the extent that the Conservatives have done it.
They did wreck the country by the standards of what we thought wrecking was, but
sure,
the Tories have just redefined.
Yeah. You can imagine what the replies to things like this have been.
Just graphs.
Yeah. People just not having.
Vote for us. We'll stab you. That guy over there, he wants to break your arms.
But Labour are actually.
It's a bit like voting for Alien versus Predator to babysit, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Like, just no.
Yeah. But Labour are, in a way, capitalising on this. They say Labour would limit annual migration to 200,000 a year. Net migration, 200,000. Right? Darren Jones, the shadow chief secretary to the Treasury, said he believed the party would seek to return net migration to, quote, normal levels. Right? He says this, quote, the normal level of net migration is a couple of 100,000 a year. The normal level. The normal level.
Normal for who?
Normal for Tony Blair. Right? Normal for the 21st century, I guess.
So I'm not actually completely against migration because every so often there will actually be somebody who can add something, right?
Sure.
So what about net migration of zero? Like every time, so we got some South Korean electrical engineer we need to bring in. Fine. Find some benefit sheet to chuck out.
No, I would say net migration needs to be about minus 300,000 a year. Because there are too many of these benefit cheats and just absolute hangers-on who've been let into the country.
I do love that this is literally Yuri Bezmenov over here. Destabilization, crisis, and now normalization.
Absolutely.
Of crisis.
Yes. The normal level is a couple of 100,000 a year. It's like, oh my God, we are so doomed.
Yes.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on the Anglo-Zulu War. And if you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow Lotus Eaters on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.